The series opens with Peter Parker aboard a Quinjet, reflecting on humanity's fate. He says he wishes he could tell a story about how the heroes fixed everything and saved the planet from the zombie onslaught. But then he admits, that's not the story that really happened. When the heroes arrive in Wakanda, they're met by Thanos and swarms of infected zombies. Standing against them are Spider-Man, Ant-Man, and Black Panther. During the battle with Thanos, Peter explains that the Titan's power was unimaginable. He could level buildings with a swing of his hand. But because Thanos' mind is decaying in his zombified state, he couldn't fully harness the Infinity Stones, which made his attacks more predictable and slower than they should have been. Peter manages to wrap Thanos in webbing, but Thanos breaks free. Even in decay, zombified Thanos quickly masters the Mind Gem and summons entire hordes of zombies to overwhelm the heroes. Just then, Thor, Rocket, and Groot arrive to help, but Thanos takes out Rocket and Groot, and Thor is gravely wounded. Thanos slams his fist into the ground, flipping Wakanda upside down and exposing molten vibranium in the reactor's core. While Thanos is momentarily distracted, Peter hurls a massive rock at him, but despite the blow, Thanos remains alive. Black Panther pleads with Peter to hand him the Mind Gem so he can use it himself. As the true king of Wakanda, he lunges into combat with Thanos. The confrontation moves too fast. Thanos lands a blow, and Black Panther loses the Mind Gem, which falls into Thanos' hands. Peter reveals that just before all this, he heard Black Panther murmur, "Wakanda forever." It sounded like his final words. Then the king lunges at Thanos and pushes him into shafts filled with molten vibranium in a bid to end him once and for all. Peter says that Black Panther saved the universe, and saved him. For a moment, Spider-Man and Ant-Man believe it's over, but it isn't. The unleashed energy from the Infinity Stones triggers a massive explosion, warping reality itself. Against all odds, they just barely survive. The story then shifts to San Francisco, where chaos has erupted, a clear nod to the movie World War Z. Massive swarms of infected flood the city, even pouring down from rooftops. In the middle of it all, Shang-Chi and Katie make their way through the streets toward Chinatown. But when they finally arrive, it's already too late. Katie's mother cannot be saved. At that moment, Agent Jimmy Woo appears, and together with him, the heroes try to escape the nightmare alongside a small group of survivors. The infected are overwhelming, and hope is fading fast. This is when Shang-Chi's true strength comes to light. He unleashes astonishing combat skills, leaving Katie stunned, since until now she had thought of him as just an ordinary guy. Soon, a giant infected figure shows up, and it looks like everything is about to collapse. But suddenly, U.S. helicopters arrive, launching an assault against the horde. Their mission, however, is not just a rescue. Leading the charge is none other than Wenwu, the Mandarin, Shang-Chi's father, who has been searching for his son. The Mandarin urges Shang-Chi to run, but he refuses, unwilling to abandon the other survivors. That's when tragedy strikes. Shang-Chi is bitten, and the infection spreads quickly through his arm. To hold it back, the Mandarin transfers the power of the 10 rings to his son. The energy stabilizes Shang-Chi, but Wenwu sacrifices himself in the process. His final words are, "Remember what your mother taught you." His act of courage buys the others time to escape. Thanks to him, the survivors make it onto the helicopters and flee the city to safety. 5 years pass, and Earth has fully sunk into apocalypse. On the ruined streets of New York, we meet 4 central heroines: Riri, known as Ironheart; Kate, the protege of Hawkeye; Kamala, better known as Ms. Marvel; and Friday, the artificial intelligence once created by Tony Stark. The girls wander through the shattered city, searching for food and any supplies they can find. Suddenly, they spot a Quinjet, the very aircraft once used by the Avengers. Curious, they decide to follow it to see who's inside, but the plane crashes unexpectedly. When they step aboard, all they find is an infected pilot, which at first doesn't seem out of the ordinary. Riri, however, uses her advanced glasses and notices something hidden inside the pilot's body. Kamala hesitates, wondering if it's worth retrieving. Maybe it's just trash. But Riri insists the pilot must have hidden it on purpose, which means it's important. Kate refuses to get involved, saying she's already had enough unpleasant experiences. So Riri and Kamala settle it with a game of rock, paper, scissors. Kamala loses, and she's the one who has to pull the device out. Just then, the infected pilot reanimates, and suddenly they're attacked by a zombified Hawkeye. He fires arrows at them, and they escape only by sheer luck. In the chaos, Kate manages to grab one of his arrows before they retreat. Back at their temporary base, Riri examines the recovered device. It turns out to be a powerful subspace transmitter, capable of sending signals across massive distances, even through the galaxy. But it's been modified, reduced to a tiny, pocket-sized form. Kamala is shocked, asking who could possibly shrink something so complex down to candy size. Riri discovers the transmitter is protected by a quantum code tied to a specific location. The metadata shows it once belonged to a SHIELD project, humanity's desperate last attempt to stop the outbreak on Earth. Realizing what they've found, Kate suggests bringing the transmitter to a SHIELD base. Kamala doubts such bases even exist anymore. But right then, Riri picks up a signal coming from Ohio. Kate is inspired, convinced this could be humanity's chance at survival, and says they have to try. Riri is more cautious, warning that their odds of success are tiny, barely 5%. But Kate insists that as long as they're alive, there's still hope. In the end, Riri agrees, and the team decides to head west toward Ohio. They gather what they need and set out on their journey. Meanwhile, hundreds of infected close in on the Quinjet, among them Hawkeye. The leader of the swarm offers him a place at her side. In the next scene, Kamala, Riri, and Kate continue their journey to Ohio with Friday. Along the way, they laugh, play I Spy, and try to keep their spirits up. Suddenly, they slam on the brakes. Right in front of them is a massive crater carved into the mountains. They can't figure out where it came from and move forward cautiously. The path feels suspicious. Not a single infected is in sight. Soon, even nature begins acting strangely. The sky darkens, clouds race unnaturally fast, and a storm breaks out. Lightning crashes down, flipping their vehicle. Thrown outside, the girls struggle to recover, only to realize the storm isn't real. High above, Icarus is locked in combat with an infected Captain Marvel. Their clash triggers a violent explosion, forcing the girls to hide. Within moments, an army of infected surrounds them. Kamala and Riri can't hold them back. Desperate, Kate fires an arrow at Captain Marvel, thinking it's one of Hawkeye's special arrows. But instead of detonating, it bursts into harmless confetti. The infected Captain Marvel retaliates instantly, and Kate falls. Panicked, Kamala tries to help her friend, but in that moment, Riri is bitten. She quickly injects herself with a stabilizer to slow the infection, and chooses to make a final stand. In her last command, she orders Friday to get Kamala and the transmitter to safety, while she stays behind to distract the swarm. Friday obeys, transporting Kamala to a secure spot, telling her that now she alone must carry the device to Ohio. The fate of humanity rests on it. The system decides to stay and fight alongside Riri and Kate, even knowing the odds are hopeless. Kamala runs as fast as she can but stumbles and falls. Just when it seems everything is lost, a mysterious biker sweeps her up and carries her to safety. It turns out to be Blade Knight, the legendary hunter. He tells Kamala that Riri, Kate, and Friday are gone, hinting that her survival was nothing short of a miracle. Kamala begs him to go back and help, but Blade refuses. He explains that Khonshu understands the value of the transmitter they recovered earlier, and it must now be delivered to Ohio. Though reluctant, he promises to help her. On the road, Kamala asks if Khonshu is just a voice in his head. Blade answers that Khonshu was once the ally of his comrade. After Mark Spector was infected, the moon god chose a new avatar, and that was Blade himself. His white eyes are proof that Khonshu works through him. Together, they push forward until at last they reach the SHIELD base. But instead of security, they are greeted by thousands of unmoving infected. Suddenly, a voice echoes, asking why they have come. At the base, they are met by Melina, known as Iron Maiden, Alexei, the Red Guardian, and Russian counterpart of Captain America, and Yelena, the Black Widow. It turns out Yelena has been using special technology to control some of the infected. Blade reveals that he is now the avatar of Khonshu, while Kamala admits she found the device by accident in the wreckage of a Quinjet that crashed in New York. Yelena explains that this device sends a unique signal through a subspace frequency designed to contact the Novacore, an interstellar police force. SHIELD. Scientists once hoped to save the world with this technology, but they could never activate it, since Earth's contaminated atmosphere blocks the signal. To work, the device has to be launched beyond the planet. The base had already been overrun, and one of the infected swallowed the shrunken device. Later, as we remember, Riri discovered it in the stomach of the infected pilot. Kamala realizes that Riri and Kate were right. This device truly could change everything, but only if it reaches space. Just as the plan seems close to success, Blade senses danger. The zombie queen herself arrives, Wanda Maximoff. With her come Abomination, Ghost, Hawkeye, and even Captain America. Alexei, however, is thrilled, because at last he has the chance to fight Captain America, even in his corrupted state. The infected under Black Widow's control clash with Wanda's army. Alexei faces Captain America, and with all his strength, finally defeats him. Meanwhile, Yelena shields Kamala and the transmitter. At the most critical moment, she makes the ultimate sacrifice, calling on everyone to protect Kamala, because the future now lies in her hands. Thanks to Yelena's sacrifice, the survivors manage to escape. Yelena holds the horde back with her technology, but the zombie queen pierces her with a spear. The surviving heroes flee into the night. Melina swears to Alexei that they will honor their daughter's memory by delivering the device into space. The heroes then realize they don't have a ship capable of carrying the transmitter off-world. Blade assures them that he knows exactly where to find one. The next scene shifts to Shang-Chi and Katie, the same duo we saw at the very beginning of the story. They travel through the wastelands in a convoy that looks straight out of Mad Max. The 10 rings are split evenly between them, 5 each, and this has become a symbol of their bond. Along with them moves an entire caravan of cattle, serving both as a means of survival and as valuable currency. Their plan is simple: trade the herd for a place in a refuge known as Ocean City, but on the way, they are ambushed by Skrulls, acting as local raiders. The attack quickly turns into a disaster for the Skrulls. The group defeats them with ease and continues on its way. When they finally reach Ocean City, they run into Alexei. He immediately notices a strange wound on Shang-Chi's arm and raises the alarm, suspecting infection. Melina, Blade, and Kamala rush to help, not realizing that as long as the ring stays on Shang-Chi's arm, there is no danger. The situation calms down only when the leader of the survivors, Zemo, steps in. Shang-Chi convinces him to accept both him and Katie into Ocean City, offering the cattle in exchange for safety. Zemo agrees. At that moment, a massive floating city rises from the depths of the ocean, Ocean City. The newcomers are given small but secure rooms, which feel like a true gift after so many years on the road. Soon the residents gather together to welcome Zemo. He asks everyone to remember those who never made it here, and to value the safety this city now provides after all they have endured. Then, Ocean City sinks deep beneath the waves, turning into an unassailable fortress. The heroes finally enjoy real food they have not tasted in years, meet new allies, and begin to feel a sense of peace. It is then that Kamala reveals the small transmitter to Shang-Chi and Katie. Its purpose is to send a signal to the Novacore, but to do that, it has to be launched into space. The plan is clear. They must reach New Asgard, where Thor, the last Avenger, still rules, and where a ship remains that can carry the transmitter beyond Earth. The next scene takes us deep beneath the ocean, where the ship is attacked by Talokan residents infected with the same virus that devastated the surface. Zemo already knows such creatures exist, but he believes the sheer number of superheroes on board will be enough to keep him safe. On the shore, we see a ruined port where a massive army of the infected gathers under their queen. She awakens an ancient creature lurking in the dark depths of the sea. Meanwhile, Kamala suffers through a disturbing dream in which she sees the monster, jolting awake in fear. Blade, who never sleeps at night, admits he can feel Wanda Maximoff watching them from the shadows. Suddenly, the ship collides with something, and panic erupts. The chamber holding Kamala, Melina, Blade, and Alexei is hurled into the ocean. Kamala protects them underwater with a crystalline construct. Zemo tries to calm the survivors, insisting the heroes promise to defend the city no matter what, and now is the time to prove it. In truth, he had chosen them because he believed the only way to keep the horde at bay was to feed it from time to time. From outside, Namor, the king of Talokan, appears. With incredible speed, he smashes into Kamala's crystalline shield, shoves it back toward the ship, breaks through the defense, and storms inside. Zemo, unprepared for this, orders the activation of a containment chamber built to hold Hulk. At first, it seems under control, but the situation spirals when infected Talokan warriors break in to rescue their king. Chaos erupts as people rush to the escape pods, while the Talokan soldiers attack anyone in their path. Zemo secretly plans to abandon the others. Melina, however, keeps her composure and uses her skills to lead the group through a safe passage, avoiding certain doom. They end up trapped in a narrow corridor, and in that moment, Namor bursts free from the containment chamber and begins chasing them. His strength is overwhelming, dragging them to the end of the passage and smashing through an iron hatch, where Zemo is waiting. The king of Talokan cuts through everything in his way. Neither the power of the rings nor the legendary blade can stop him. Melina demands to know why the escape pods aren't launching, and Zemo explains that they can only be activated manually from the control room. Realizing how urgent the situation is, Melina takes the mission on herself. Kamala forms a crystalline arm and lets Namor grab her. While Shang-Chi and Katie hold him off, Kamala expands the construct from within and tears it apart. Finally, an escape pod opens, and the team climbs inside. Alexei frantically searches for Melina, but just as the pod seals, he receives her final message. She stayed behind in the control room and won't have time to make it out. With heartbreak, he begs her to return, but Melina tells him she loves her father and activates the evacuation system, ensuring the others survive. After that, she calmly accepts her fate. Our team, Shang-Chi, Katie, Kamala, Blade, Alexei, and Zemo, climbs out of the wreckage of the ship's capsule. Kamala tries to comfort Alexei after Melina's sacrifice, reminding him that they need to keep moving forward in her memory. The heroes make their way to the gates of New Asgard, where Valkyrie stands guard. She makes it immediately clear that outsiders are not welcome here. Kamala pleads with her to listen, insisting that their mission could decide the fate of the entire world. Valkyrie grows more irritated, warning them that they can either leave on their own or she will make them. At that moment, Blade steps forward. Valkyrie snaps that this refuge is meant for gods, not mortals. As the tension peaks, the voice of Khonshu suddenly speaks through Blade. The moon god addresses Valkyrie, asking if the Asgardians have truly stopped honoring higher powers. Valkyrie recognizes him and greets him with joy. To the rest of the team, it looks like Valkyrie is talking to herself, since they cannot hear Khonshu. After this encounter, Valkyrie opens the gates and lets the group inside. In New Asgard, they find safety, food, a thriving community, and Thor, sitting in a corner, detached and indifferent. Kamala wants to speak with him, but Valkyrie explains that Thor is broken, long since withdrawn from battle and unwilling to speak to anyone. Kamala presses on, explaining that she has an artifact, a transmitter that could be launched into space. She believes it might be their chance to fix everything, but Valkyrie forbids disturbing Thor. The discussion shifts to why New Asgard is thriving. Valkyrie explains it is all thanks to their queen. Zemo is skeptical, pointing out that Asgardians have never had a queen. Valkyrie then reveals the truth. Wanda Maximoff became the first queen, and it was she who created this feast. Wanda steps forward, and the atmosphere changes instantly. The heroes reach for their weapons, while Valkyrie urges Khonshu to keep his followers from offending the queen. Wanda asks everyone to calm down, insisting it is all a misunderstanding, and invites them to join her at the table. Kamala refuses to hold back. She accuses Wanda of being the queen of the fallen, the one responsible for her friend's fate. Wanda explains that she was infected, but managed to regain control and heal herself. She claims she could have restored the entire world if she had been allowed to harness the power released by the Infinity Stones, but Bruce Banner took that power for himself. Meanwhile, the Asgardians begin to collapse from within. Valkyrie accuses Wanda of betrayal and tries to strike her, but Wanda defends herself. It turns out the entire feast had been poisoned, and the servants have now been turned into obedient members of the infected horde. Wanda apologizes to Kamala, saying she had no choice, and begs her not to be afraid. She insists that if Kamala joins her, together they can reshape the world. Kamala calls her a liar, accusing her of only wanting the transmitter. Wanda counters that she does not need the transmitter at all. What she wants is Kamala herself. In that moment, she reveals her true form as the zombie queen. Kamala pushes her back and frees Valkyrie, but then one of the infected impales Zemo. A swarm rushes toward Thor, and Kamala shields him. Thor opens his eyes, seeing the chaos of battle around him, but does nothing until the infected finally turn on him. Kamala asks Valkyrie if she knows where the ship is. Valkyrie confirms, and the heroes sprint toward it, with the infected Asgardians chasing them. Along the way, Alexei begins to weaken. He also ate at the feast. He turns, lunges at Kamala, and she, heartbroken, asks his forgiveness before shoving him into the path of the horde. The team reaches the ship, but as they try to lift off, Wanda's magic grabs hold, dragging it back. She pulls the vessel toward her, insisting that together she and Kamala can heal the world. Suddenly, lightning tears across the sky. Thor rises as the true king of New Asgard and unleashes his power. He takes the fight to Wanda and her army of the infected. Thor orders the heroes to leave at once. Kamala pleads for him to come with them, reminding him that he is the last Avenger and they need him. But Thor tells her that she is now the last Avenger and commands her to lead the others. Valkyrie takes control of the ship and carries them away, while Thor stays behind to battle Wanda and her horde. As the ship soars through the skies, the heroes try to process everything that just happened. Kamala shows Valkyrie the transmitter and says that at last they can put it to use. Only a few minutes after activating it, a blinding white light appears, the Novacore. At first, the team celebrates, but Valkyrie quickly realizes something is wrong. They arrived far too fast. Even the quickest signal would have taken weeks, which means the Novacore was already nearby. The core announces that Planet 2149 is officially classified as lost, and orders the heroes to return there. Any attempt to escape will be punished with total eradication. The team is given 10 seconds to comply. It becomes clear that the Novacore are not here to rescue anyone. They are here to make sure no one leaves Earth 2149. A countdown begins, followed by the activation of a disinfection protocol. The hero's ship maneuvers desperately, dodging blasts. Kamala uses her light to seal the most dangerous breaches, but eventually, the vessel is torn apart. Kamala shields her friends with a radiant barrier. Even that begins to fail, and it seems they are about to plunge into the ocean. But at the last moment, mysterious tunnels open and swallow them, transporting them to an unknown place. When they awaken, they are greeted by Spider-Man and Ant-Man. Kamala cannot hold back her excitement. Standing before her is Peter Parker, her idol. Then a new figure arrives, Rintrah, the Green Minotaur from the planet Baal. He explains that King T'Challa, the Black Panther, sacrificed himself to stop Thanos. The Infinity Stones, which once held reality together, were destroyed, unleashing a storm of uncontrollable energy. To contain it, someone was needed who could endure such power without being consumed by it. That being was Bruce Banner, the Hulk. He managed to lock the stone's energy within himself. Kamala is overjoyed to hear that Bruce is still alive, but Valkyrie explains that he is no longer the man they knew. He has become a guardian, destined to forever protect forces capable of creating and unmaking worlds. Khonshu, intrigued, asks why they were brought here. Rintrah reveals that the Queen of the Fallen has raised an army of the infected, strong enough to challenge Bruce and seize his power. A decisive battle is coming, and he asks the heroes to join. Ant-Man adds that the choice must be theirs. They have already been through enough, and no one has the right to force a new destiny upon them. In the next scene, Kamala drifts into memories of her friends. When Shang-Chi asks what she is afraid of, she explains that it is not fear but guilt. She had convinced everyone to follow her, hoping to fix everything, but her choices did not bring the results she wanted. Shang-Chi reassures her, reminding her that they still have one final chance to fight. Kamala doubts whether they have any real chance of defeating the Queen of the Dead, but he replies that there can be no victory without risk. He adds that even the God of Thunder himself made Kamala an Avenger. That gives her the strength she needs, and she agrees to join the final battle with Wanda. At that moment, Valkyrie and Khonshu appear, and everyone realizes the time has come for the last stand to protect Earth. Meanwhile, the Queen of the Dead prepares to confront Hulk, aiming to seize the energy of infinity. Her army includes creatures of every size, from the smallest to the largest, all determined to bring him down. Hulk's power proves overwhelming. With a single strike, he wipes out a huge portion of the horde, and each sweep of his arms sends shockwaves scattering the attackers. Wanda increases the pressure. The Queen unleashes a massive propulsor, trying to trap Hulk in a torrent of water, but his sheer strength lets him break free. Giants join the fight, yet Hulk crushes them too. His incredible ability to recover keeps him going. Wave after wave of armed enemies rush at him with blades and axes. The pressure mounts until Hulk, exhausted, drops to his knees. The Queen approaches with cold confidence, telling him that he cannot carry this burden, and that she has come to release him from his suffering. Just as Wanda prepares to strike, portals open and the heroes arrive. They dive into battle. All eyes lock on Wanda, who looks straight at Kamala with a strange delight at her arrival. Rintrah warns that they must not let the witch touch Bruce. The clash grows louder as enemy forces charge forward, but Kamala conjures an enormous shield, wiping out hundreds of foes. The others unleash their own powers as well. Wanda watches intently. On her side, zombie superheroes enter the fight, making the battle even harder. She again turns her attention to Kamala, trying to sway her, but Kamala refuses, knowing it was Wanda who condemned her friends instead of saving them. Just then, the infected Alexei appears, leading an army of corrupted superheroes charging straight toward Kamala. She does not want to hurt them, and retreats behind a protective barrier. Her allies find themselves in the same situation. The heroes stall for time, hoping to find another way. Suddenly, the battlefield is lit up by powerful beams of light. Thor arrives, now turned and completely under Wanda's control. Hulk locks his eyes on him. Thor summons his hammer and launches into battle. Wanda declares that the decisive moment has come. Thor strikes Hulk several times with the hammer. Hulk blocks one blow with his hand, sending out a shockwave. Wanda watches with delight. Hulk grabs Thor by the head, ready to crush him, but Thor releases a beam from his mouth, stunning his opponent. Hulk quickly recovers, counters with a blow, and prevents Thor from striking back. He hurls him into the air and slams him down with such force that the blast scatters the enemy horde. Thor is defeated. Kamala looks at Hulk with relief, but Wanda teleports to him and suddenly plunges her hand into his body, draining his power. She seizes the energy of infinity. Meanwhile, Kamala's friends are attacked by the infected. Kamala charges her arms with light and throws herself at Wanda, but Wanda proves untouchable. She demands that Kamala stop resisting and join her. A battle of wills begins. Kamala answers that she cannot, because it would betray the memory of her friends. Wanda insists that everything can still be undone, even bringing loved ones back, but Kamala realizes it is a lie. Wanda tells her to look around. Kamala sees her companions suffering, some already transformed, others struck down. Wanda extends her hand and promises that the world can still be saved. Faces of Kamala's family and friends flash in her mind. She apologizes to them and says their sacrifice must not be in vain. Then Kamala gives in. She reaches for the Queen of the Dead, and together they begin absorbing the power of the Infinity Stones. A deafening blast shakes everything, and the planet itself starts to change. In the next scene, Kamala hears her mother's warm voice and opens her eyes. She is filled with joy and runs to the door, where Kate and Riri are standing, alive and smiling as if nothing ever happened. Kamala hugs them, telling them how much she missed them. The girls go out for bubble tea, laughing and joking together. Kamala says it has been 5 years since she last had that drink. Her friends smile and remind her they had it just yesterday. Kamala starts listing all the things she wants to do. Her friends are surprised by her sudden energy, but she, overflowing with happiness, says she is glad to feel normal and urges them to treasure the moment. Then she is distracted by a young man parking his bike. Kamala notes he is cute, and her friends agree. Suddenly, the scene changes. The bright square and peaceful street vanish, replaced by a bleak world of the infected. Fragments of memories from reality break into her mind. The illusion begins to twist, and a woman's voice warns her not to believe what she sees. Kamala realizes she is trapped in a false world.